Everyone. So today we'll talk about the room persistent library from Android. Uh, what is it actually? If you are already familiar with some framework like Spring or Play, you have already heard this thing, persistent. As we know, in Java, JPA or Persistent Architecture, something like that, has been used for a long time for creating an abstract layer over the database by using the H2 or something like that. So now Android has created something like that too, because users are pretty afraid to use a SQLite query because of their cache maintenance. As we know, if if we try to create a complex query or a complex relation or some type of complex execution in SQLite, it might fall. So the Android has created this room library, persistent library, and this makes the developer's life very much straightforward. Okay, so I will tell you how to use the Android room library in this video. This is what I can tell you about the room. In my word, it can actually replace the SQLite. Actually, it is built on SQLite, but yeah, that's it. So the first thing, like the JPA in Java, it it uses the model, and that's a great thing. And on the model, let me first create a model for me. And let's think we'll create a model about movies. Okay, so movie, that's great. Now, and now I will create the field. Oops, not that. Oops, private. Um, Probably long. I'll use this big long sometime. Oops. Yeah, that's great. I'll use ID or MID. Sometime I also use MID. That's also great. And now private the fields that we need for creating the model, as you think. So movie name, and yeah, that's it. I will not create anything else. So now I'll create the constructor for it. The first thing I'll do, I'll create a constructor without any parameter, and then I'll create another constructor with both parameter. Then I'll create the getter and setters as we do for every pose things. And now if you want, this is not compulsory. If you want, as I'm really used to it, that I'm really big fan of builder, so I will use builder for that. Yes, with the with notation, and that's it. Yeah, we are done creating a pose model for our movie. Now we will turn this model class. That means let's just think movie is a table, and that has two columns, the ID and or two attribute. You can think like that also, the ID and the movie name. Okay, so this is a table. If you think like that, so if we wanna make it or turn it into a table like the JPA, that I don't know you are really used with that or not. If you are not familiar with that, okay, just totally skip that. So what you have to do, as we're gonna describe this thing as a table, so I have to create entity. Okay, so in room or in JPA, entity is also mentioned as the table. Okay, so we'll describe on our what I can tell on our next video. I will describe about entity things a lot, so don't worry. And now let's just think I need to create the MID into or you can I will turn it into primary key. So what I can do, I have to just set the annotation primary key. That's great. And if you are really want some auto generated thing, that means some type of auto increment case, if you are not really used to with your quiz, or if you want to really turn this thing automatically up for you, uh, you can just create auto increment thing. Auto, oops, does it miss something? I don't think so. Oh, auto fill, it should be right here. Okay, I'll also talk about this later. And now let's just think this is all about that. So you can see I don't need any extra annotation anymore, because everything right in here will turn into a table. And I hope you are really can imagine how our table will look like. Our table will hold the name movie, and that will have two attributes, the MID and movie name. And after that, this is all about our table is done. Yeah, you can create as much model as you want, and you can add more things with that. So don't worry. If you wanna turn a model into a table, just add the entity over the class and any extra attribute as you want. If you want to turn anything into primary key or foreign key, or you can do something like that. And as well, there is another way you can play with, is if you wanna really make something out of your table. For example, I will say release price. Okay, integer price. So if you wanna turn something out of your, or get something out of your table, so you can just write ignore. That will help you to make it out of your table, or get it out of your table. So that's great, I hope. And yeah, now the next thing that you need for room, I will create a package, extra package for that. I would say room host or something like that. Yeah, I'm really used to it host things. So now I will create the most useful thing uh, uh, need for room, for using the room in our apps, is the data access object, something like that, DAO class. I would say DAO access. Okay, so this is not a class actually, so this is an interface. Okay, and yeah, and DAO means the data access object for accessing the database. Okay, so I'm repeating again. So DAO access is an interface that actually control the accessing of this database. I hope you can imagine that how we can control the access into a database. You might thinking like, okay, I CRUD functions are the access. Yes, you're right. If you are thinking like that, CRUD operation are the access, then just go ahead and write it down. So as we know, we have um, four major CRUD operation. I'll write it down one by one. First, I'll start from the insert, and for that you have to add this annotation inside. That's all you have to do. Oh, before that, as this is the DAO I'm going to use, so I have to write down DAO. That's it. And now for inserting, we got to create a method void insert single movie, and I'll say I'll get a movie and pass it by this parameter. So I'll pass a parameter, a movie in this parameter, and that would be inserted into my movie table. So that's great. And if you want to, okay, I'll pass multiple value, then you can just write something like me insert multiple movies, then just you got to use the list in writing here, and then movie, and then just say movies. That's all. If you have multiple parameter, you can also do with that, but I don't need them. So that's great. And one thing I really liked about Room is the whole process is so fast, and they are controlling pretty much everything. That's why this is known as persistent layer. This is awesome. Now I will get the data. That means I will write some query to retrieve to manipulate my data. So yeah, so I'll say query and then say select all from movie, and you can see that was telling me that yeah, this is a table you can really get it from here. So this is really great because it's doing everything on the compile time, so you don't have to worry about getting any error. That's great. And okay, I'll add something with that. So I'll say okay, MID, I hope you understand, MID comes from movie is equal, then okay, I will skip this part. So as you can understand, I wanna get a data by using this ID, okay, by using a particular ID. So I will write, so this time this won't be a void because that should return a movie object. Okay, so yeah, this is really great. So movie, I'll say fetch one or single. Yeah, single should fine. Single movie by ID. That's great. And now I will pass the ID. So the ID all should be integer, and then anything you want as the parameter. So I'll use m_id or just mid will also work fine. For using this variable right over there, what you have to do, you have to first press colon, then the variable name, no space place, and you can see that is working, no error anymore. So this is great, and I'll write another query for you. So query, this time I want to fetch pretty much every value or pretty much every element from this table, say select all from movie. That's all I want to do, and I'll pass them into, yeah, as you are thinking, I need a list for that. So I'll say movie fetch, oops, fetch all movies. I don't have to pass anything else. So that's great. And now if you wanna update something, as you can thinking, yeah, you have to just write update and then void update the movie. And now you have to pass the thing you wanna update. And for delete, this is almost same. Void. Yeah, you can use the query also, so it won't matter. So if you wanna do everything by using query, you can go with. But these things, these annotation things, really makes these things really simple. So I really like them. So I'm just giving you the examples how you can use that. It's depends on you are using it or not. So yeah, this is all about our DAO access, or data access object. Now we're ready to access it from our main activity. And if you are thinking so, then just wait a single minute. The thing is, we have created everything, but we hadn't created the database yet. We have created table, we have created the rules for accessing the table, but we hadn't created the database yet. So we have to create the database right now. So I'll call it as my movie database. Okay, movie database. Okay, that's great. Now I'm just and as you are thinking that the annotation is database, yes. Now the integer, that means the tables for this database, and I'll say okay, the table would be, if you have multiple table, so this is, here you can pass multiple table right in here, movie.class, then just like author.class, something like that. If you have multiple, as I have only single one, so I don't have to. Then a very important thing is, as we know, in SQLite version really matters. If you change anything in your table, you must have to change your version, otherwise this thing won't work. And this is what I have to pass. This is mandatory. And then the export scheme false. And then I have to done something. I have to extend the room database so that I can have everything. That means I will get all the properties from the room database, and I will make this class abstract, and then I will declare our access rules. So public, yeah, everything right in here is abstract, so this is really easy to done. Nothing to worry about, everything is, we are just creating some what they call, some way, some path, nothing else. We are really connecting the room database layer with our application layer, nothing else. And we are declaring some rules, blah blah. That's so easy. And then we got to access that. Okay, so accessing is the most easiest part, you have to first, oh my god, create a final string as the database name. As you have seen, I hadn't declared the database name, so I have to declare the database name right in here. So I'll say okay, the database name would be movies baby, or single small letter is always better to play with. And now I got to make an instance of our database. So we'll first declare private oh my god, private movie database. Oh, not the implement, movie database. Yes, the movie database. And nope, not really that. I'll say okay, it's okay. I'll say movie database. So now I'll make the instance of the movie database right in here. So movie database is also, this thing is little bit tricky to declare as all the things are abstract. So as we have extended the room, as we have extended the room database onto the movie database, so we have the power to access pretty much everything from the room database. So I'll call room dot database builder, then I need the context, and for that this is a good practice to use the application context. Then you have to give the class. Okay, so okay, the class is the movie database dot class, and then the database name, the name you want to use for your database. And now I'll use some fallback okay, so I'm using fallback to destruction migration. If you are using a migration, so that must be needed, but if you are not using, this is optional. So what is the migration? Migration means if you want to migrate your SQLite into room, then there is a way to play with. Now we are done creating the instance, and the only thing is left is to connect, or is to access the data or create the data. I just playing with this whole thing. The one thing you have to always remember, this is really built on the persistent layer, so you must rely on thread. You can run any call, or you can execute any action to room on the main thread. You have to either use the regular zombie thread type of things, or the UI thread. That UI thread is for Android, but as we already know from the Zaba, the zombie thread is always available for us. And for using the room database, you must have to use that, otherwise the whole thing will crash. So for this thing, I will really describe about this three thing. So we are really using with three different thread. The main thread that actually running the Android application. Everything we are writing on create, on resume, on back, or whatever thing are doing right in here is running on the main thread. Okay, and the thread like, okay, I'll just create a thread. So you can see this is from Java lang, that means Java language thread is equal to new runnable, and this sort of thread is known as zombie thread. Because of what? because nobody knows when they will die. Actually, they dies when their execution get the completion, or when they are done with their execution, they will die. uh, you may tell that okay, oh, no, this is not the orphan threat. You can't tell that they are orphan, they are actually zombie because they will die. Okay, that's great. So and there is another thread we need to play with, and this is run UI thread. So I'll tell you where is it come from. Oh, in my imports. Okay. uh, got to write it down again. Why is it from? Where is your address? Okay, as as I have already told you, run UI thread is a given thread from Android has given us, because Android knows that user must, or the developers must need to get access um, to the UI system, because everything before without the UI thread, everything is depends on the main thread. You can't really push anything, or you can't show anything by using the thread, because this thing is belongs to Java, not belongs to Android. So Android never give access to this sort of things to their main thread to cooperate. Okay, so run UI thread is a cooperating thread that is actually can cooperate with the main thread of Android, and both are from Android. This thing is also known as the lever thread for the main thread, and this sort of things is really responsible for updating the UI, as this sort of thread, the thread like this never can cooperate or never can really convey something to our UI. So if we need to update anything, or if we need to convey anything to our UI, we must use to this thing, run UI thread. And the way is almost same, new runnable. Yeah, no, that doesn't seem okay. Yeah, that's it. And the one thing, you guys, you can see right in here, we don't have to start this sort of thread, because they are, if you declare this thread, this would be automatically start, because they are concurrently playing with the UI thread, or the main thread, sorry, main thread. So I hope you understand about these three different things. If you have, then I can go with. So the first thing I will do right in here is I will access into okay. So what I want to do, I'm gonna insert a data. Okay, so this is the first thing. For inserting a data, do we need to cooperate, or do we need to work with the main thread, or do we need to update the UI for inserting any data? I don't know what you're thinking, but no, there is no need to run this thing in the UI thread, because they are expensive. But Zombie thread is always cheap to play with, so I'll use runnable, and then what I'll do, I want to access a data. So I'll say movie database dot DAO. So that means I'm first going to my database, then the access, I'm getting the access for running my methods. Then I wanna add some data on a single movie. I wanna add a single movie. Just I need to add the movie right in here. For creating a movie, for inserting a movie, first I need to create a movie. That means I need to create an instance of the movie class, movie model, pose, or whatever you say. And then just you have to write movie, my movie, or something like that. Then new, if you are a big fan like me of builder, I'll use the builder or BSD. Then I'll use okay with MID. I'll use the ID. You can use any ID, but they must have to be a primary key. So on this thing, what I can do. Okay, I'll just add one. Yeah, that's something what's great. Great. So I will just add it. That doesn't matter, I hope. Then wait, moving on. What is telling me? Okay, so this is an integer long, so I'm gonna say L. Okay, is that okay? I hope so. And now I need the movie name, and I'll give the movie name. Okay, my movie is Hobbit. It's great. Oh, I have written Hobbit. That's not a good thing. And then obviously you have to build that, otherwise builder won't work. So I'll say okay, my movie. So if, as you can see, I'm not updating anything to the user's UI, so I don't have to use the run UI thread. You can run pretty much everything by that. So this is inserting. Now I'm gonna fetch that data. So how we can fetch that? Now for fetching, I will also use a thread. Okay, you may think like that. Okay, for fetching we must have to put the answer to the or put the result to the UI. So we must need to use the UI thread. Yeah, you can do it, but as we know, UI thread is expensive, so we can't really afford doing everything on the UI thread. Or so what we can do, we can really divide this the works between the regular Java language thread or the Jumbo thread where and UI thread also. So let me show you how you have to do it. So I'm gonna face data, so I'll obviously say okay, movie is equal to new. Oops, no, I'm not creating, I'm getting. So I will say movie database dot view access dot get. No, I wanna fetch. Okay, so I have to fetch with a single movie. If you wanna add the ID, that's okay. ID, that's great. So now what I'll do, I'll pass this movie into a method, and I will say that retype result. I'll pass movie. So now I'm going to create the method. So you can see by using this method, I'm actually passing the value from this thread to the class. Okay, so it's not going into the main thread. You can't think like that, but it is actually now it is actually storing. Oh, sorry, my mistake. So we are actually passing the data from the Jumbo thread into the main thread now. and now it is not actually executing now. So let me do something right in here. So if you need to change anything right in here, you can do change that. For example, you might want to, okay, let me change something to movie one. Yeah, that's great. So I'll say movie dot, or okay, we don't really need to show the id name, so we just want to see the what's it called, the name of the movie. So I'll say string. Okay, I will also show the id, so it doesn't mean anything. Okay, I'll say string id is equal to movie dot get id. And yeah, I need to pass that into to a string. Yes, and then again string also name is equal to movie dot movie name. So you can see, so this method won't be run in the main thread. This method also will be run on this thread. Okay, and now after that, what we will do when we are ready with the data, now the only thing left is update the UI with this data. Okay, so I will say populate to UI, populate to UI. I'm gonna say string id, comma string name. No, never. I'm gonna create. There's a problem. It should show me the things. Okay, what's happened? Yeah. Okay. I'm so crazy. I'm so crazy. My mistake. I was defining the method. I need to call that. How can I be so crazy like that? So I'll just create the method now. That's great. You can see this is a very good way to create a method. I'm really big fan of doing something like that. And now the only thing left is update the thing onto the UI. And actually, I haven't created anything. I just only have this text view, so I'll update both of this thing by using the test. So I'll say okay, text view. Okay, so I got the idea of that. Now I gotta get back to my main activity. Now I'll say find view by id or dot id, oops, dot text view. Yeah, dot set text. Yeah, obviously. Oh, no, that this is not. Ho ho. So what I have to do, I have to write it into a text view. Yeah, that's great. I want to say text view. That's great. Is equal to, okay, that works fine. So now I'm gonna pass that value text view dot set text, and I'll say id plus id, any space will work fine, and plus let's say name, again name. So if I really going to now open this app will crash. Okay, because what we are doing right in here by using only this line. Okay, so this is the main as a call, the main thing you have to always take care about. So these sort of things on the updating anything on the text view or the button, anything of the card, anything you are updating on the UI will crash your app, because this thing you must, because everything this method, the retry result method, and the whole of this thing, uh, until this line was running on the zombie thread, and for passing the values from the zombie thread into our main thread, we must have to use the run UI thread. Actually, we are not creating a communication with the main thread. This is a consequent thread that can run along with main thread, so that's great, but this is expensive, so we have to always take care whenever we are using this sort of thing. And now I'll just add those things right in here, and yeah, that's correct. So you can see there's a lot of error right in here, and for getting out of them we have to set this thing as final, and now everything is all right. So I hope you understand how you need to do everything, and this is the best way